to this third panel session of sea change. This time a little bit less on the climate change, a little bit less on the M&E actually as well, and more on the knowledge needs. My name is Dennis Boers. I think most of you in this group know me by now, and look forward to not have a fourth session with me tomorrow. I'm the Sea Change team leader, and Sea Change is a community of practice on monitoring and evaluation of climate change interventions. And on your table you also see a paper which is what we call a draft knowledge generation or knowledge development strategy. And for a long time, Sea Change has been a community that disseminated knowledge that was developed by others, and that was good knowledge. But we more and more look at now what are the gaps out there, and how, as a community of practice, can we fill those gaps. And to answer that question, we developed a draft knowledge generation strategy. That one was based on a little survey we did, a survey we also discussed with the Sea Change members last night. And I won't go in depth into that survey again, but that is what fed into the knowledge generation strategy draft version that you see right now in front of you. I'm not going to talk through it, it's just for you to have a read later on to see what our ideas are. And the feedback that we're getting here right now in this 1.5 hours will be fed into this strategy as well. And also feel free to email me later on when you have the time to read the strategy to give your feedback on it as well. For the moment, I would like to ask all of you to stand up and come over here. Yes, please. Don't be shy. All to the front. I'll put something in front of the projector that people don't get blinded. There we go. Come here, please. No, you can. I'm going to do my preaching now. No. I have a few questions as a bit of an introduction of the people we have here. And I have to say I'm inspired by the outcome mapping session when I saw this being used as well. I did it before, and then I thought, oh yeah, I need to do that as well. Get all the people in front and run around and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Only 4 questions during the outcome mapping. I think we did 10, so it was a bit tiring in the end, but it was good fun. So the first question is, are you working in climate change? And you are going to stand there. In any related field, agricultural livelihoods, ecosystem management, RED+. Well, RED+ is really climate change, you can stand there. But any related field, or completely irrelevant to climate change. So, nothing is irrelevant to climate change. So if you are, for example, in education or healthcare, that would be more or less good. This would be more agricultural livelihoods, natural resource management, disaster risk reduction, and then they're pure climate change people. Okay, I think you all made a good choice to come here because I see a lot of people. I'm first going to that side to see who they are. And I'm going to pick some faces that I don't know yet. And could you give your name, your organization, and just say why you're standing here?
I'm Gaga Prasad Yadav. I'm a researcher of LCC Climate Change project of Colorado State University.
Ah, okay. That's very applicable. Let's do you. Yes?
My name is Kathmandu from Nepal. I'm from an NGO called Coparis, and we are implementing community-led climate change adaptation programs currently.
Okay,
yeah.
That's very to the point as well. Let me see. Lady here. Yes.
I'm Munna Sharma, one of the research scholars at ICCC and SPP.
Okay, then we move a little bit more here into the related fields. And yes.
I'm Kusum Pukul. I'm resource fellow of LCCC and SP, but my research work is, although it is related with the climate change, I'm
Good, good. And then the people who feel they have less and less.
My name is Andrey. I work with the campus management service, mostly in public health. I'm here because I have a course session.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
My name is Kathmandu. I work for UNODC, we call United Nations Operation Drugs and Crime. In fact, we don't have any project in environmental climate change. But personally, I am interested in.
Okay. And one more person here.
People in Kathmandu. I'm Pawan from Department of Service and we have information there. And we are planning in
Okay, okay. Very nice to see this group. How the fields that feel they're not working in climate change are relevant to climate change and related M&E in some way or the other as well, I think. Then the second question is your work. Would you describe your work as being 100% M&E, 50% M&E, or no M&E at all? You can choose in between as well, so 50% M&E, 100% M&E, and you really don't do anything with M&E.
As you can see, the dividing line is pretty blurred.
Let me see. Someone with 100% M&E work. Okay, here we go. Introduce yourself and what you do and why your 100% of your work is M&E. Is it on? Can we have this one on? Anyone? No, not this one. Okay, we get another one. No? Anyone?
Hello everyone, my name is Andrey. I'm from Indonesia, from Mercy Corps, Indonesia. I'm looking for, it's difficult to, it's called scale air, stakeholder, coordination, adaptation, linkage, and engagement for resilience. But we try to make it simple, so it's called climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction for resilience. So I work for the M&E for this project. So that's why I'm 100% in M&E.
Okay. And then some 50% M&E people here.
Yeah, I'm Minu Sharma and I'm working in National Genesis and Forensic Research Center. And basically our center work in genetic disease. So the climate change is also one of the cause for the emerging new disease in the city. So I'm 50%.
And feels 30%, 40%. M&E level.
I'm currently working on a program on climate change adaptation research in Asia and Africa. Although I'll be managing programs, but I'm not completely into monitoring, evaluation, but surely for monitoring, and to some extent the evaluation, maybe developing strategies also. It's not clear as yet, but I will surely be more in some sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Then the third question is, do you feel you have an M&E knowledge need in your daily work? Do you feel you have no knowledge need at all because you know it all? Or you feel, I'm not so sure whether or not I have a knowledge need in my daily M&E work? So I really think I have a knowledge need. I'm not so sure, or I really don't have any knowledge needs. I know everything already. Wow, wow. You did come to the right session. Okay, that's
Yeah, and actually being here, I realized I have more knowledge needs than I thought I had. These 3 days have made me realize, wait, there's more and more gaps, I'm thinking. So.
Someone else? Romeo? Yeah, knowledge need? You have a knowledge need?
Yes, I have. That's why I'm here. Yeah, well, especially about climate change interventions and capacity building related to this. It's quite a new field and it's quite challenging.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Then the last question is, okay, you all have a knowledge need. Do you also think it's a knowledge gap? So if you think no, it's a knowledge need, it can be filled with information that's out there, freely accessible and readily available. If you only have a knowledge need, you can stay here. And if you think you have a gap that really isn't the knowledge out there, or you can't access it, you don't have access to it, you can stay there. So either a knowledge need or a knowledge gap. So you know what kind of knowledge you need. Do you think it's out there? Do you think you can access it? Do you think you can timely access it as well? Wow. 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 Okay. Let's take some people that think that their knowledge need can be filled with everything that's out there.
Well, actually, I don't know anything about the M&E, so I
Okay. Fair as well. Fair as well.
Well, I think gaps, because I work in basically a fundraising office, gaps are in terms of some of them are, needs in terms of that are not necessarily fulfilled. Some are gaps which we struggle with. So.
Yeah, I think definitely working in M&E for community-based adaptation is a really new area, so we have a lot of knowledge gaps and knowledge needs, and trying to fill knowledge gaps as well ourselves. But certainly no one has the answer, I think, so it's fun trying to find out what they are.
Okay, thank you. Everyone can go to the seats again. I would like to ask to form tables of 7 to 8 people, not to sit completely in the back on your own, because we will do some group work. So it would be nice if you can form tables of 7 to 8 people. Okay, so as I said, we did a small survey before this conclave to get a bit of an idea about what people think about knowledge needs, knowledge gaps, what they feel they are, what they think of it. And one example here is how many knowledge needs for me are basic know-how essential for any practitioner, organization, individual to facilitate M&E in their work environment. More important, this knowledge need is a must to extract learnings and lessons from your working environment. So the question is M&E knowledge needs the same as M&E knowledge? Because if I read this one, then I get a feeling that I more get a definition of M&E knowledge than of M&E knowledge need. And the second example, the need to expand and retain knowledge base as well as provide case studies, comparable activities within a given framework, which is interesting because it shows that knowledge and knowledge needs towards M&E are very much context specific, and that's interesting. And it doesn't mean that you can't learn from another context, but it's interesting that they say within a given framework and comparable activities. So this person really looks at the context of the M&E knowledge need. Needs to produce information for strategic decision making. If I read this one, it's more about the internal feedback loop to inform decision making, monitoring information to adjust program implementation, to inform program design and organization approaches. Identification of the needs must come before designing the M&E. So that is more about the feedback loop. I have the feeling that organizations would need to have in their M&E system than it is about knowledge needs in the day-to-day M&E work that people do. The fourth one. These are answers on the questionnaire that we did. M&E knowledge needs refer to the deficiency in intellectual foundation on monitoring and evaluation processes, which has to be filled or improved in order to conduct relevant, appropriate, effective monitoring and evaluation activity. And deficiency, I like that word because I wasn't sure. Is that a need or is that a gap? Then you get into the knowledge needs versus knowledge gaps discussion, which we will have in a short while. Because the question is, do we really need to look at knowledge needs and knowledge gaps? Do we need to separate the two from one another? I don't have the answer. I did in the draft strategy, but it might be that it's actually not applicable, and I'd like to have later on to have a discussion on that one as well. And then one that we saw yesterday for the people who were at the evening session, which Romeo gave, and the comment that you made, that Paul made was, oh, someone used Google to look it up. Actually, I think that Romeo actually knew it. I think you actually just knew the answer from your experience. Knowledge needs a gap or lack of particular aggregated know-how, skills, experiences, understanding of M&E, application of specific areas of practice, such as climate change, adaptation, mitigation, that can be met or covered by managed information, documented, processed, stored, which captures both the explicit and tacit, if possible, knowledge gained by various proponents in a particular field of practice. It's a nice way of putting it, and I don't think you Googled it. I think you really came up with that one from experience. And having said that, I would like to do a little group work with you. And the question here is, what are your specific M&E knowledge needs? And I would like you to take 10 minutes in your group to talk about the needs that you have in your day-to-day M&E work, preferably if you work in a climate change or related field, specific M&E knowledge needs that you have towards climate change. But if not, that's fine as well. We will give you all a number of index cards, and on it write readably what your M&E knowledge need is, and then later on we put them on the board. So for the moment I would say, in your group, discuss for 10 minutes what your M&E knowledge need in your daily work is. We are going to give the cards now. As many as people have So it's one knowledge need per card. So you can either choose to individually write your most important knowledge need, or you can strategize as a group and come up with the 8 most important needs if you are in a group of 8 and write those on the cards. I put black and blue markers on the table to make it nice big letters so that everyone later on can walk by and read them.
Unless you have a problem, you're facing the problem. Thinking that you don't know how to
tacit versus explicit knowledge. We all have some tacit knowledge, whether there is explicit. You may know a lot of things, so knowledge is there in this process. Is that knowledge accessible to you? That's another question.
One thing I can't help but think about is the knowledge needs and demand side issue. I have a need, and on the supply side, there's gaps, and then there's existing information. And so you can have needs that could be addressed by existing information, or there may be lack of that information, whether it's explicit or tacit. So it's specific needs.
I think for me, when I saw knowledge management, or at least when I was with them, when I saw here at a church, because that is really my struggle. Translating M&E information, technology information, to different statement groups or forms in a meaningful, efficient way. So to have a framework that you just actually also
There's also a from your standpoint and use a slide lens, if you're a consultant machine, you probably look at a slide lens. Like, I'm looking at things which help my clients and give them action-oriented, practical information and things to do. That's what my clients expect. I have a problem. You've been hired as a consultant. Tell me what to do, and tell me based upon best practices globally. What and that best practices globally is based upon the knowledge of what works and what doesn't. There is a researcher or an academic may have a slightly different point. Take a viewpoint and say, let's explore this angle and see if this works.
How do you gather all the information out there? And which one is best for the client?
One is what you know, and the other is you know how to access it. So there are things that you know from your experience, and there are things that you know this team call up and send you some stuff and that's the other.
That's what the knowledge needs. That's what the knowledge needs. Something which you are not doing, but you want to learn from somebody.
There's some needs that are more methodological sort of framework. There's another kind of needs that I think we haven't developed much, which is some useful content that could benefit many different evaluations. And some things you can think about, at least for those doing policy or policy baseline information across agencies across the country level. Probably baseline information, like what policies are currently in place. Is something where this is a lot of time to figure that out, navigating it. Research has been done simply stakeholder assessments at the country level, at the provincial level, just what organizations are actively pursuing those. It's to the extent that anyone's funding those landscape assessments. That's really helpful information. Benefit many organizations. I think there's some M&E products that might make things much more efficient, right?
That is something I was thinking of how that this is something that we would like to see. These indicators.
slightly different than what we do in Korea.
There's a large research program that covers Latin America, and it was looking at rural territories as opposed to somewhat biological works for agricultural development according to biophysical territories. And the territories that people actually have livelihoods that sort of cohere, regardless of what the community was living in. And they found lots of ways of getting at comparable statistics across all these territories across Latin America for economics, for equity, for all kinds of stuff. They couldn't find comparable stuff for environmental indicators. And it was just, they tried for years. And I think that's a real difficulty when we're talking about climate change adaptation as well, is that we don't have comparable data on these scales and the kinds of biophysical or divisions that we need to make it meaningful for climate change.
And therefore, the counterfactual approach to M&E doesn't really work. There is no counterfactual. You cannot possibly be a counterfactual. If you're designing a climate adaptation for India, what would you take as a counterfactual? There is no, they can't do anything.
Then you have to do comparisons, so you have to do some other way of understanding.
So when you say biophysical, you mean like natural.
So way too often, all of our data is organized into this little divisions. And that often doesn't mean anything for when what actually life is like. And that's just a normal part of the challenge of environmental relations. That's critical. Lots of ways to
Two more minutes. Please write down your needs. One important need per card, and one card per person at the table. And in 2 minutes, we will work with these cards.
I think understanding which one is best to suit your needs.
Yeah, it could be the middle.
If you come to consensus at the table, you can write them as a group, but otherwise just write them.
Rockefeller Foundation is also invested in obesity and equity measurement. Is there any indicators now that the SDGs work on today? Business in the context of climate change adaptation that you're aware of?
Okay. From the survey that we did, we noticed that most needs that were out there were falling into 4 categories. And those categories were, first one, tools, guides, and technical knowledge. The second category is capacity development. The third category had to do with internal M&E feedback and learning. And the fourth category had to do with organizational knowledge management. And there were some that didn't fit any of these categories, and for that there is a question mark here, because we can see where they fit or if they really stand out of these 4. And I would like to ask everyone to take that card, come forward and see which of these 4 categories does your card fit the best. Does it fit the best in knowledge need for tools, guides, technical knowledge? Or does it fit more into the field of capacity development? Or does it fit more into the field of internal M&E feedback and learning? Or into the field of organizational knowledge management? And I know that some of these fields are overlapping as well. Well, that's up to you.
Across the secondary approaches.
So the monsoon, of course, affects here as well.
We also have a program called Asia.
There's a gap.
You can give us some knowledge of it, right?
I have completely guidance sheets and the scorecards, but they are not online yet. No, everybody should put their own.
Those who put on these?
Sometimes
no, on Saturday morning we were
Okay. When looking at it, if we can move a little bit backwards so that others can see it as well from a distance. A lot here has to do with tools, guides, technical knowledge. Also a good amount has to do with capacity development. And then internal feedback on M&E and learning. There's very limited knowledge need in that respect, which is good to hear. I don't know if it's true, but it's good to hear. And then there are also some points on organizational knowledge management. I'll just read a few out. Policy advocacy on evaluation methods. Contribution analysis methods that are credible, but not resource draining. I like the in between brackets there. Data needs. Who wrote data needs? Anyone? What can you elaborate on it? Microphone?
I think in case of Nepal, there is lack of preliminary data, like baseline data to find out the impact of climate change. Like the lack of climatic data of like 100 years ago the climatic data, or 50 years ago climatic data, and also the lack of data on phenology of the different plant species. So there is a problem to find out the impact of climate change.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Indicators, hidden, but it's there. Policy progress assessment framework. Who wrote that one? Policy progress assessment framework.
For some evaluations that try and track either advocacy or policy change work over time, how to know you're making progress, particularly before policy adoption. And there's been some work in this area we've been focused on trying to understand that. And I think outcome mapping can be helpful, but I think there's a need for some more refined methods and approaches in really understanding that. Particularly, I think it's going to be an element of the Climate Investment Fund work too, not just projects, but how do you set up that market transformation policy framework? And how do we know if we're getting there?
Methodology for measuring resistance. Learning from work in this field, measuring resistance. Resilience. Okay. Good point. Yeah, good point.
Existentialist question.
Resilience M&E framework again. Integrate climate change into M&E thinking and systems. How to integrate climate change into M&E thinking and systems. Who wrote that one?
So climate change is something new to me. I'm working for a climate change project, and what I find is I'm still kind of measuring like the same things the same ways. I mean, organizational, capacity building, technical support to policy and things like that. But the only difference is, measuring this carbon reduction. So I'm just wondering if there is maybe a better way to look at it more holistically and integrate this kind of climate change mitigation of carbon or this kind of thinking into the whole system rather than separate.
Yeah. Then we go to capacity building, development. Dissemination of knowledge in the field. Who had that one?
What I was thinking about, because sometimes we have the knowledge, but our team in the field, we don't have the same position. So we need to transfer the knowledge to them, so they understand basically the whole system of the M&E, the whole system of the project, so they work based on we agree. So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Standards, benchmarks, baselines for climate change, common understanding, to understand content or context. Who wrote to understand content? Climate change resilience and climate change adaptation. Ah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, just because I'm kind of new in climate change and adaptation, so I need to know more about the content of climate change and adaptation.
Okay.
That's really my thoughts.
Okay. Then here we have balancing learning and accountability as the only card in internal M&E feedback and learning. Who wrote this one?
Yeah, so I think this is something that all of us have to manage. It's an inherent tension when we're dealing with monitoring and evaluating interventions in very complex situations such as climate change adaptation. So it's something we all have to do. It's an inherent tension, but do we know how to do it well? Or is it just the elephant in the room that we never talk about? Or so how do we manage that tension?
Okay. Organizational knowledge management, policy baseline information at country provincial levels relevant to energy climate change, stakeholder landscape assessment studies, same handwriting, planning and M&E design, or planning of M&E design. Who wrote this one? Another table? Okay, both things. Mainstreaming M&E of climate change into other sectors, good as well. And then a question mark, how to effectively use outcome mapping for project design and proposal writing. Yeah, that could be as much capacity development as well as maybe guides and technical knowledge, depending how you look at it from your own perspective. Or who wrote this? Maybe another perspective yourself, where it should be?
Yeah, I guess then the gaps are knowledge or needs.
Yeah.
So basically I'm just looking for examples or experiences in using outcome mapping and proposal design instead of the usual logic model.
Okay. Did you go to the outcome mapping session?
Yeah.
You liked it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, we've been using it, and that's my challenge really, because we have had experience in using outcome mapping, but in terms of proposal design, that seems to be where the blank experience is.
Okay. What I wanted to do is for everyone to come forward and pass the board, and I'm going to give everyone 3 green dots and dot them on the spot that you think is most applicable for you. So that can of course be the one that you just filled out yourself, plus 2 other ones. So Albert and Paul will give you, Andrew and Paul will give you the dots. Just pass by, quickly read over them and spot those that you think are most applicable to you.
Yes.